Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chalk Talk Podcast. I am your guy, Christian McClendon, and today got a few guests, a new one, local big-time former basketball star in Northern Kentucky. She is a legend. I got the DeAsia Beal.
Make her bless some more. Wow.
Yeah, she's, we grew up together, well, we all did, and DeAsia was a big-time basketball player. She played at Holy Cross with me. She went on to Stetson University, full scholarship because she's big time, you know. But yeah, she's doing big things, and kind of tell them, you know, what you're currently doing now.
So currently, I came back home to have a baby,
Hey.
but before then, I graduated with a communications and media degree, and I was on ESPN3 being a sports analyst for Stetson University the past 2 seasons. So I've still been around the sports world, want to stay around the sports world. And, you know, as Christian said, we've known each other a while, and I've seen that he started a podcast, and this is, you know, stuff that I'm interested in, so I came to join.
Basically, she's overqualified, but we are more than happy to have her right now. We're sure to be on a Chalk Talk
just showing
podcast.
us up here, but I mean, then we got Eli. Y'all know Eli from multiple episodes.
CEO of Unifit,
I know me.
Yeah. Then my cousin Charlie, the man behind the operations.
executive producer of the Chalk Talk
There you
podcast.
go.
AKA Steph Curry McFlurry.
But today, you know, we're kind of going to get a little controversial. You know, big topic going on with NKU's women's head coach. You kind of want to dive right into that?
So basically, everybody's been seeing, you know, the article of Coach Whitaker being a mental abuser, emotional abuser. And it's kind of a topic that's not just at NKU, but it's close to home. So it's kind of shedding a lot more light on us. But it's really going around in women's basketball. And there's a lot of schools out there. There's a lot of players going through some things. And that's kind of what's big in women's basketball. And I feel like it's kind of deferring away from women's sports because it's kind of making us, you know, look soft when we already are fighting to keep a platform in the sports world and, you know, bring more attention to women's sports. So
Looking for that gender equality.
yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. And I just wanted to come on here and share some experiences and, you know, shed some more light onto it because I think it deserves some attention.
So yeah, like that's a great point. So like that social stigma is that, you know, girls are, you know, softer than guys and you kind of gotta, you know, dance around their feelings a lot and stuff like that. Like that's a social stigma that just in society that you have. So, you know, when, you know, college basketball is such a men-dominated sport, like as you said, it's harder to keep that platform. So do you think that that's something that's gonna, you know, hinder other programs from growing if it's something that, you know, is something as a focused issue?
I mean, I definitely think it will, and that's going to be a problem because it's a lot of women's coaches that, you know, are being attacked, that these players are stepping, you know, up and talking about, and it's like, as women, we got to stick together. I understand we don't have to take everything that's thrown at us or accept everything, but it's kind of like, as women, we should back each other up, and a lot of these women that are at these, you know, programs, they earned their way. They reached up the ladder, and it's kind of like kids nowadays don't respect that.
Right.
And I'm not saying, you know, there's a blame on parents or, you know, the players, but it's kind of like this generation has lost what respect is and how to really show for and work for stuff because, you know, you can get on social media and you can just about see anybody doing whatever and think you can do that.
Right.
Or see somebody talking however to whoever, and you can do that. And it's kind of like, that's not how it works. So I feel like, you know, we're deviating away from respecting people who have earned those positions, and we're covering it up with being emotionally abused or attacked. And, you know, I don't think that's fair in a lot of these cases.
Right. So when you're saying, like, you know, like the emotional abuse, do you think it's more or less like the coach is just tough on her players and she wants them to perform better, and a lot of that they can't really handle that type of pressure?
In college basketball, you get tested a lot. So a lot of that are mental tests. And, you know, I was in a program where we focused on books. We read books that would cover all of those aspects and areas because sports isn't just about performing. it comes with a lot, and it goes deeper than what you think it is. And so I think that definitely when you get into that mental aspect, like, you have to have some type of tough skin. And those coaches are going to push you to limits. They're going to try you, and they're going to throw scenarios at you. They're going to pinpoint you. They're going to put you on spot because they see something in you that you probably don't see in yourself. Or they know that you should be given more, or that you're a leader and you're scared to step up. So in my case, I don't think I was ever attacked just because she felt like attacking DeAsia. I felt like I wasn't given enough. And I was a little too content. And then when I go and I tell my parents, like, well, she said this, and then my parents check me.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, maybe I am just being a little soft. Maybe let's just go in there and do what she says and not fight against that. So I think a lot of these players, they're not looking at it like that as, she's trying to get more out of me or she wants more out of me. They're just looking at it as, I'm tired of dealing with this. It's tough, and she's just bullying me.
Yeah.
I think, and again, another great point you hit on is when you said, your parents check you too. Do you think that's something that, like, a lot of these players growing up now are kind of, like, missing to where, like you said, they can't really handle that tough love? Maybe that's coming from, because like you said, it's to get the best out of you. That's through your experience. Do you think that that's something like at home as well that they're not getting, that they're just not used to?
I mean, I definitely agree with that. And then it's like the kids that have sports parents, or say they were already in the league or they played sports, or they relate, like they have a little more sense of what's going to go on when they are in sports. Then you have kids that their parents have never played sports a day in their lives,
right?
But they're good. They have talent, and they have been practicing and working, but their parents don't even know how to prepare them for being coached or being at a top level because they've never been there. So a lot of that goes unknown, like, what can they teach them? And at home, they're not getting anything because it's kind of like, oh, how was practice? Oh, it was good. Well, they're not asking, what did you learn?
Right.
Well, what do you need to work on? Let's go work on it.
Right.
So if you have those parents that could take you and teach you and talk to you about those things, that helps those players in the long run, because if it wasn't for my dad, I probably wouldn't have, excelled where I was at and been able to last where I was at, because it's like, he kind of already put me on game of what was going to happen before I got there.
Because he knew the situation.
Exactly.
How do you feel as a former player? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you play ball your whole
I
life.
was Division III, so I'm not.
Not even just college.
Like,
It doesn't matter.
But no, I mean, like, you kind of hit point there. It was like with my dad. My dad used to get on my ass, day in, day out about basketball. He was like my number one fan. Like, whether that was, complimenting me or criticizing me, and I appreciate that in the long run, because, it's helped me develop into the man that I've become now, and what I am developing into. But, plus my dad, he played sports all of his life and whatnot, and I played for, coaches, growing up that give you tough love. Shout out to James Pouncey if you're listening. James, he's the man, though, and I appreciate James, doing, coaching us that way. Another, Coach Getz, I love you, Coach Getz. He was the same way, but, he didn't bullshit around. He wasn't going to sit there and tell you what you want to hear. He was going to tell you what you needed to know,
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of players, they don't have nowadays. I think it's a generation, kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, I think she hit on point, though. I think it's all a lot of it is is parenting, man. I think that's the main thing, really,
for sure.
And same, like, growing up playing sports all my life, I feel like going up to the collegiate level, that's what it's preparing you for. You know what you're signing up for when you go to college. Like, it comes with a lot of baggage. Like you said. James was hard on you. Well, he was hard on us. We all played for James. You had Coach Getz for yourself. Had Coach Henley. So you can't, once you get to that level of, that certain level of basketball, you gotta,
You have to adjust.
Yeah, you have to adjust pretty much. Like I said, it's, what you're signing up for. You can't just wait till you get to that level to back out and then just start saying, this is too much. I'm not mentally prepared for this. And I agree with y'all. Like, having that parental influence plays a huge role because, like you said, especially parents that have sports, they can relate. So, like you said, your dad had to check you a couple of times, and I feel like that plays a huge role when you're on the next level.
You're on campus right now, day in and day out. What's the vibe like? Has it changed? Like, have you heard anything on campus that, kind of like, may shed a little bit more light on why you're planning on leaving or anything like that?
Yeah, well, in my news reporting and writing class, we talked about this situation a couple of times. And then in my my pop culture and sports class, we also shed some light on it. The vibe, it's, they're pretty much, everyone's seems like pretty much one-sided. They're all saying, they don't agree with Coach Whitaker's doing and things like that. But I feel like I'm the only person in there with that different perspective because
you can probably relate.
I can relate to it more, and I don't think a lot of people in my, especially my news reporting and writing class, are a bunch of sports people. There's a few, but like I said, I can relate more. So everybody's saying, "Oh, she's being a bully and things like this," but at the same time, like, is she really being a bully? I mean, there's a certain line you have to cross for it to be called bullying. I mean, being cursed at and things like that, that's nothing. I mean, I guess you have to have thick skin to be a collegiate player. I mean, I didn't play college ball, but
that's life.
It's just, it's life. Like, that's perfect. Yeah.
And that's what
yeah.
it prepares you for is life because you're going to have to respond to a boss if you're not your own boss one day.
Yeah.
And they're not going to play, right now it's just, they have your scholarships in their hands, but it's like when you get to the outside road, it's like, this is their money that you're bringing in or making for them.
Sure.
And people don't play about money.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, and when we talk about the levels, it's like as you're younger, when you play AAU, you're preparing for high school.
Yeah.
In high school, they're preparing you for college.
Yeah.
In college, they're preparing you for the next level if you go pro. And when you make it to the professional level, it's like these coaches don't even care about you anymore.
That's
they care
right.
about what you're going to do for them and their family so that they
Absolutely.
can eat at night.
Absolutely.
So you should take advantage of those coaches that are pushing you in college because they're preparing you for the real world if you don't even want to play, professional level after that. But it's kind of like, I think we kind of get besides our point, ourselves too, when we don't look at the coaches because it's like, well, they're not playing. There was a lot of times where it's like, she's not even out here. She wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
And, we're just going with our teammates and we're upset about, whatever happened. But it's kind of like, well, her job's on the line.
Yeah.
Like,
just like their
this
spot's
is,
on the line.
Yeah, this is,
She
her
has to
source
prove
of
to
income,
herself.
how she eats, how she feeds her family. And so nowadays, I don't think everybody looks at all those perspectives and everything that ties into it. And it's kind of like a lot of this generation, I feel like, is selfish.
True.
The new generation, I feel like, is so selfish.
Yeah, for sure. Because you think like what we were talking about earlier, social media, everybody has their own account and everything that they post and everything that they drive to try to create this following is all about them. It's self-indulgent. I think a lot of the initial reactions why the vibe is so anti-coach on campus is because initial knee-jerk reactions, 99% of the people on campus aren't sports players. Didn't go through those same type of situations.
And they only know the players.
And all they see is, and they only know the players, and all they see is the headlines, right? So bullying, mental abuse. So anytime that there's a scandal and it looks bad on one where you're from or in a university that you're associated with, you're obviously going to lean towards people that are more towards your peer group, the players. People that aren't making money, the players, but people don't really dive in to see what the actual response would be from somebody that's been through that situation, has had those coaches. Like I said, it's like more like that knee jerk reaction to where we all see because when I first saw the headlines, I'm like, oh man, there's a scandal up at NKU, which they've had their scandals before. Some people like stealing money and stuff like that, and their athletics board I feel like would be more on par to deal with these situations a lot better.
Yeah.
It takes a social media post for something like that to go on. But I heard, it's from in fairness, we see, the Cincinnati Enquirer post these, long essays about, how, players' parents weren't allowed in some of the meetings and stuff like that. if you ever been in a situation like that to where it's like, what happens with the team stays with the team, and outside life is nowhere near involved with basketball?
Yeah, so like, when you're at the AAU and, elementary level, your parents can say whatever.
Right.
So I was in 8th grade and, I played for the high school, and my dad wanted to talk to the coach, and he did.
Yeah.
But it's like they can't stop him. Like
Right.
It's just high school. So my dad has always, but it wasn't where he was, just solely attacking them. He's from his perspective, he's best interest for his child.
Absolutely.
So when I got to college and, I was down and I was like, I was calling home, I'm ready to transfer, I'm ready to leave. He's like, give me your coach's number.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, Dad, you cannot call her. Like, do you know what will happen if you call my college coach?
It's a different
And he was
situation.
like, send me her number. And I'm like, Dad, like, you can't. And, that was that protectiveness. And, and some parents have that, some parents don't. And so I just had to tell him, like, I'm at the level now where I have to handle this.
Right.
I have to be grown. I have to learn and mature and go through this in order for me to overcome it and then, be a big girl. And so he was like, okay, so he quit. After I told him that, he stopped with the, let me get her number. And then he started encouraging me more. He started telling me how to defeat her, how to defeat my feelings, because that's what it comes down to. And I feel like nobody's showing or telling these players now, like, how to defeat their own selves and their feelings, because it's like, we'll just get rid of them. We'll just go to social media, make this post, and somebody will look into it.
Right.
I can't do nothing. And it's kind of like, that's not the route to go about it, but that's kind of, what they can do because they have that platform. We didn't really have that platform growing up with social media. And
No.
people before our time didn't have that. So it's kind of like when Coach Gino from UConn said that the players aren't tolerating stuff nowadays. And it's kind of like nobody really tolerated it back then either, but they just had that tough skin, like y'all said, and just overcame it.
Right.
And nowadays, nobody wants to have the tough skin because that's more work. So that's basketball practice, that's class, that's personal life, and then it's having, to have tough skin, and it's like that's just too much for certain players sometimes.
And going off to what we talked about earlier, I think you mentioned to Charlie about the this is the coach's source of income. Like, why should the coach have to suffer because you can't get out of your feelings? That's not fair. I don't think that's right. So I think these players do need to realize, they need to learn how to defeat themselves, like you just said, and then just overcome those obstacles. That's all it takes.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that a coach will say, and you'll be like, did she or he really just say that to me? But then it's like, you don't have to take it so personal.
You
Yeah.
don't.
Like, because they're speaking out of anger. Everybody speaks out of anger. But it's like, sometimes they don't really mean it. And even if they did mean it, they're going to laugh with you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, they're going to find something. They're not going to hold that grudge because the coach that I experienced, she would tell us, they go to meetings and they read books outside of the books we're reading. So there's a lot that goes into coaches and learning how to deal with players. And like I said, I feel like it comes down to respect. And if you don't respect them or try to look at their viewpoint, then you're going to feel bullied and attacked. And I feel like that's just what's going on right now with all these coaches being investigated.
I feel like you should embrace it if they come at you like that, because if you don't,
it's a good thing, I
they'll
feel
continue to walk all over you. If you look at them and smile back when they say stuff like that, then they're like, oh shit, like I wasn't prepared for that.
Right.
Now you're throwing them off.
Right.
So it's all about just having that mental toughness. Just don't let them walk
I
all
feel like
over
it's
you.
a good thing, though, man, when they're getting on you. That means that they care for you, and that, like you said, they're trying to better you. So, I mean, when they're not saying anything, I feel like that's when you need to worry. They don't give a shit about you. So, just toughen the fuck up. I'm just joking.
He had to
but,
look straight to the camera and say,
it pissed me off, man. Because I seen a tweet on it was on Twitter where Coach Izzo from Michigan State's head coach was getting into his player's ass, man, just chewing him out, and someone was like, "Well, I can't wait for this generation to be over with." What?
man, I hope we all go extinct or something.
No. I think it's a good segue though into what another question that the average viewer would have. Like, how do you think this affects the rest of the NCAA, both on the men's and women's level? We can start with the women's one because that's what it's more focused towards.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier, and women's sports, we're fighting for spots on television. We're fighting for money. We're fighting for all of that attention, the same amount of channels that show our sports and doing all that. So it's kind of like one minute we want that, and then the next it's like we're tearing each other down. And it's like, as females, we do have a lot of emotions. But this isn't one of those that needs to be, focused on, because it's just going to, tear us down and be like, oh, well, they're just a bunch of girls and they have too much going on. Nobody's going to watch that. Nobody wants to see that.
Absolutely.
And the world already sees it that way as it is. So
Exactly.
you don't want to make it any worse.
Yeah,
and so they have to figure out something to where they, toughen up, or the coaches get together and they figure out something to do, because it's kind of like we've been fighting for years and years for, a place in the sports world. And it's kind of like, we got to be tough. We got to carry that over. So they got to figure out, where did they go wrong?
Do you, other programs have already suffered from some of this like backlash, right? Like you were talking about it earlier. What programs were they that's already had issues?
North Carolina, they just lost their coaching staff. Tennessee was, kind of into it, but then their coach really got released because she wasn't, keeping up with the wins and stuff like that. But I heard they were being investigated. Georgia Tech coaches, just got fired. And, they're Loyola. There's a lot of schools that, that these kids are, oh, well, this school stepped up. Well, now we're going to. So it's going to have a triple effect. And there's going to be more to come before the even season gets around here. So all those schools, you had Notre Dame's coach and UConn's coach, they're doing interviews and they're writing articles, about this. And they're just saying how, the kids aren't tolerant and accepting a lot of things. But it's kind of like they're also, I don't even know how to put this. It's not that, they don't want to tolerate it. It's kind of like I think they're just following what everybody else is doing.
Following along.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's kind of like, did you try to make changes within your program or your teammates, or did you reach out to somebody on the team before you went and made this social media post? And
True.
even if you did, that should tell you, if nothing happened then, or you had nobody to line you up, then okay, now you can look at the program.
Yeah.
Is this program really a family? Are they really about their players? But it's kind of like, if you're going to go approach a coach, you better be ready for the backlash and something, because that coach is probably going to be pissed.
Right, for sure. And I know NKU's, just from the articles that I've read, NKU's athletics board, they've had no complaints really outside of, as far as like, regarding the coach, like filed complaints on campus. So like you said, like has she gone through and seeked help? Has she, what I'm saying, is an issue with a lot of players?
The girl at NKU claims she did, and that they didn't do anything about it. And to me, I just think it was a coward move to wait until your senior year to come out about this.
True.
And when she made the comment saying, well, she holds my scholarship in her hands, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're that unhappy or you felt like you couldn't deal with it, then you could have left and transferred anywhere right away.
Right.
And that's even if you wanted to go off of emotions. But if you're claiming that, you're this player and, you have the talent and you can go do something, you could have went and played wherever you wanted to.
Yeah, but basketball is probably the most like self-empowering sport to you can have the most individual impact on your own position, career, because it's not like, you're an offensive lineman that just goes out there and blocks, as long as your quarterback doesn't get sacked, you have no problems. Like, no, it's like an individually based, self-improving sport. And if you can't improve and you're not willing to put in the work, I mean, I could see that being an easy route to take is going on social media and trying to, put a controversy up to which she may have feel like she was slighted in some way, but it may be coming from an ill-willed place that it's not really backed up by, proper investigations on her part, seeking proper help. And some of that she's got to take responsibility for if that is the case. But yeah, I mean, I think we hit a lot of good topics so far. Is there anything else we want to cover or anything like that?
I mean,
any thoughts?
Just kind of back to that Tom Izzo thing, because that pissed me off. For real. Just, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's what this world needs though. Like, those kind of coaches, because
they push people.
Honestly, like this world has gotten soft. We're just sensitive about everything, I feel like. But in the long run, like, they're there to help you out. So take advantage of that, man. Like, like you said, like that translates to the real world where sometimes your boss, they get on your ass. It's going to happen. Shit.
Right.
And my bad. No, just not
No, go ahead.
Going back to the NKU situation. Like if talking about the girl that came out about the whole Coach Whitaker situation, I'm wondering like where are her teammates at? Like why is she feeling like this? Shouldn't her teammates be like building her up or something? They're sisters.
And there was what, only one. How many players on the team? I think there was only one player on the team that sided with her.
Yeah.
And then she had former players.
Yeah, that's what it was. There was
Former
maybe,
players,
I think,
and then
total.
like the rest of the team wrote a statement saying that they were with the coach.
Yeah, so
And it's kind of like, at that point, is it worth mentioning? If you held on to it for this long, what was the point now?
right.
And then you had to bring former players. Those former players were once your teammates, and you were playing with them, and y'all had the chance to do it years ago, so why did it?
Together, now you just like by yourself coming out.
Yeah, and this was like 20 days after the season had already finished for them that she came out with this. And like you said, it was her senior year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think like, in conclusion, what I'm saying, I think a lot of us agree, like, it's a lot of just like tough love and being prepared to be at that level and perform at that level, and then being able to handle the criticism that comes with that platform, that degree that you're chasing maybe, and that scholarship that you're chasing. It comes with a price. Right. And just like her job does too. Like, and I think a good point that you made is that, what I'm saying, probably 90% of the team sided with her, and then it wasn't even but one actual teammate she was still on the team that had sided with her. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, like self-responsibility on her to either take the proper precautions, like you said earlier, because then, if anything, if this is an ongoing issue that's been going on, you not speaking up earlier creates more victims potentially of mental abuse, of these things that you are portraying it to be. Yeah. But I think a lot of it too, like I said, I played baseball and stuff growing up a lot, and football. And the coaches I respected most are the ones that pushed me the most, and
we're tough.
Yeah, we're tough. Absolutely, the ones that
Tough
will get in your face and
criticism.
tell you, "Hey,
And
life's not going to be easy." So I mean, if you want something, you got to work for it.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to be handed to you.
But a lot of nowadays,
find
it's
it
handed
too
to you.
often,
Like, you can easily do whatever. But I just want to touch on the point of sports is a competitive nature. You're competitive within yourself. You're competitive within your teammates. You're competitive within your coaches because you're trying to get the respect from your coaches. You're trying to get the respect from your teammates. So even though you're a team and you go out there and compete, you have to compete against each other first before you go compete against your opponent.
Absolutely.
And I just feel like if you're going to have your kids in any type of sports, you need to teach them what competitiveness really means.
Right.
What it's going to, show you. And these, like I said, the parents that didn't play sports, look at these articles that are headlining about these kids being mentally abused, as they're calling it. You need to prepare your kids for that. You need to prepare them for that in AAU, in high school, in college, in the professional league. Like, there has to be more of that. The parents have to do more than just send their kids to college and let these coaches mentally abuse them or whatever they're calling it, because I could go on with a lot of experiences or this practice, that practice, because she touched on a lot of stuff that Coach Whitaker said to her that my coach said to everybody in practice every day. And if you are, a Debbie Downer, the coach is going to point that out.
Absolutely.
If you're sucking the life out of the team, the coach is going to point that out.
Yeah.
If you're not consistent, because a lot of coaches want to see consistency when you're at that level, because by the time you get to that level, you've done played how many years?
Exactly.
Right. You've done learned how much, you've done caught on, and you've played against how many different, teams and people. And it's kind of like when you get to that level, you have to take what you've learned and not just walk in there and expect it to be something it's not. And then now you're writing these articles trying to get this coach fired and investigated because you felt like she was emotionally tough on you or mentally tough on you. That's part of the game.
And that's kind of selfish too.
Sports is bigger than just going out there and, competing.
Yeah.
It prepares you for a lot. And those coaches that, prepare you for that, those are the respectable coaches. Now, I don't know Coach Whitaker, but I've heard stories and I've competed against her. And she looks like she's tough. Yeah. She acts like she's tough. A lot of those coaches are crazy emotion, like they show a lot of emotion. So you have to respect that. But I don't think that every coach is really out to get a lot of these players. And I just feel like, you're going to go through that bump in the road where it's like, I want to quit, I want to give up, or I can't take this because she's just doing too much.
Yeah.
Or those coaches that, she made a comment saying that she's in our personal life and we don't. She is in your personal life. And you know why she is? Because she needs to know why you're playing the way you're playing on the court.
Absolutely.
What's going on? What's affecting you? And that's a coach that cares.
Yeah.
Yep.
You sign up for
That's
for it.
more than just making it about basketball.
Yeah.
But she's not looking at it like that because those people don't. It's like you don't want your coach in your business, but she has to be.
Right.
I was the social butterfly. When I tell you, and I would be like, I don't even talk to that many people on campus. But when she would, come at me, well, you want to go be a social butterfly and you can't even make a layup. And it's like, why are you even saying that? But then it's like, okay, maybe I should take a step back. Maybe I should turn it down a notch and let's just see what happens. And, coaches do that isolation. When she said she was isolated from the team and she didn't, and she said, she was telling my teammates not to talk to me. You can ask about 3 of my teammates and they'll be like, we wasn't supposed to be around you. And I'll be like, I wasn't supposed to be around you.
Right.
And the best girl on our team, she wasn't allowed to be around nobody.
Right.
But it's like they say that so that you do put that in your mind, but you don't let that take over.
Right.
You just see like, okay, well, if I do step back a little bit, is it going to help me focus more? Is it going to help me lead this team more? And you have to look at it from those perspectives. And I feel like these kids don't look like that. They don't look deep into it. But I had a coach that made you look deep into it. She had those one-on-ones. She had those embarrassments in front of everybody. We read those books. We had those team meetings. We did all of that. And it's kind of like you have to dig within yourself when you get to that level. And I feel like these kids aren't doing that. And then these parents are like, okay, well, let's just tell them or let's just leave. Let's just transfer. Let's just, whatever makes you happy.
Right.
No, you're not going to be happy 24/7. You're not going to be happy your whole life.
Right.
And it's like, that's what's going on. And I don't want to see the women's sports world crash because of this when it doesn't even have to be that deep.
Right.
You just need to take that on the chin and go.
Yep.
And if you're going to have kids that are going to go and want to be at these collegiate levels, you have to start them young.
Right.
You have to instill that in them young. Like, at one point, my dad was like, it's a business. Respect, if she respects you, respect her, get your degree, go on about your business.
Right.
Yep.
But you have to work for that degree.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be sick. You have to go through those tough days. You have to go through those isolations. You got to go through. I mean, I would see my teammates. We try to run with somebody that was in trouble. Nope, the coach would make us watch her run. And it's like, did she go home and cry about that? No, she got them 20 down and backs over with, and she brought her ass back on the court, and we kept on playing.
Right.
So it's kind of like, there's going to be a lot of things that come into play, and those coaches are going to attack you, and they're going to trigger you. They're going to trigger some things that happened in your life that she really just said that, or it's going to happen.
Right.
But there has to be a barrier or a wall that you put up of your own defense shield where it's like, I'm not going to let her tear me down. And I'm not going to let her dictate my happiness.
Right.
So when you're in basketball, you keep that shit in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the classroom, you focus on your homework that you just did. You focus on the test you got to take.
Right.
Because college is hard. It's time consuming. Practice, between classes, trying to shower and eat. I couldn't even tell you how hard it was. 2-a-days, like long classes. And it's tough, but if you can do that, and if she could last all 4 years and the 3 seasons she played with Coach Whitaker, I don't see the reason in coming out and trying to ruin this lady's reputation. That's any player. If you're unhappy, you're gonna do something about it right then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna suck that up, and you're gonna figure out where's the lesson in this. Where's the teaching moment that I have to grasp from this?
Right.
Because I feel like everybody goes through stuff for a reason. So although she's, upset about what she went through, I don't think she's digging deep enough on what's this doing for her in her future. What's
Right.
this doing for her emotional strength, her toughness, her mental toughness, all of that. And I feel like you have to look at all areas before you just go and we start tearing each other down.
Yeah.
Because sports are tough. College is tough. Professional level is tough. All of it's not going anywhere. They're not going to stop being tough.
Right.
Because there's going to be those programs that respect that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they're not going to care about you and your feelings. They're going to be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Because look, it's the next one waiting for your spot.
Yeah.
There's a next girl or guy waiting to get those minutes.
They'll be happy to take that scholarship.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I think as a society and with this generation, parents have to do more.
Right.
And I think the best thing for NCAA coaches and for them to, figure out this situation is to go to those clinics. They have them all over. Our coach was at clinics where she wouldn't even be at basketball, before the season started because they had coaching clinics to attend.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like those coaches have to go to those. And yes, they don't always have to be tough 24/7, but they do have to learn a lot. I mean, think about it. Think of how many kids they've coached in the years and had to learn. Their jobs are hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Way harder than ours, just going out there and playing basketball and going to class.
Yeah.
And it's like they have to run. They're the boss. They have to run a lot of things. And there comes a point in time, like we've been talking about this whole time, is respect. You have to respect them. Yeah. And a lot of kids aren't getting that at home. They're not learning respect. And they think that, okay, well, I'm just say whatever and I'm going about my business.
Right.
But that's not the case here. And like I said, I could go on and on about my own experiences and, my players, my teammates that I've seen. But it's kind of like somebody also has to step in and defend these coaches, because if another coach defends them, it's like, okay, Coach Gino can defend them all he wants to. But it's like nobody's really looking at him like, oh, he's just defending them. But it's because it's like he's got how many championship rings?
Yeah, exactly.
And then nobody questions what he does.
Because he's a winner.
You think he's not tough on his players?
Oh, for sure.
Every single year, every
Salute
single
Coach
girl.
Izzo.
Yeah.
You think them coaches, right? Like you think them coaches that are winning programs, you think they're not tough?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like these kids want to play for them.
Yeah.
And it's like, even though you're not at UConn, I wasn't at UConn, but I was at a Division I program that was a winning program.
Right.
And I walked in there with a chip on my shoulder like, well, I just came, I was the best, and then it's like, I got to college and I'm like, whoa, that girl was the best at her school. She was the best at her school. She was the best at her school. I'm like, I really got to compete. This is the first time where I've really had to like dig deep and figure out myself.
Yep.
And then it's like, this coach just changed my position.
Yeah.
I was a point guard. I was dropping however many points. I'm like, I don't even got the ball in my hands.
Right.
So now I have to figure out what can I contribute to my team.
Yeah.
Because I'm better at other things than just scoring.
It's all about adjustment.
Exactly.
That we talked about earlier with like the self-empowerment and the ability to impact your own, progression. Like you said, you had to switch up positions, and if you would have just took that sitting down, like, well, I don't want to switch up my position. It's either I'm gonna be a guard here or I'm not gonna play.
And I feel like if Taryn, the girl who did it, if you accepted that role of being attacked and you went out there, and I know she had some amazing games. I know she had some games that weren't her best. I know she had those moments where she felt like giving up. It's kind of like if you still went out there and could perform, you're blessed. You should be grateful.
Absolutely.
That coach still sees something in you.
Yeah.
There's still something that you're doing, that you're giving off to your team, that they respect in you. So you're going out there, you're being attacked every day. Guess what? Your teammates respect that. They feed off of that. So if you had that, she has tough skin somewhere because she lasted.
Right.
So it's like, if you had that, how about you create an article, about how you overcame that? Why do you have to bash the coach?
Yeah.
Do an article on how you stayed through it, how you stuck with it, because people want to hear that more than they want to hear about this coach being bashed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It does
About
more.
a program being torn down.
Right.
You also provide advice for future collegiate players.
Okay.
So they can prepare themselves for the collegiate level. Because like you said, it just gets tough after high school. Like, there's nothing compared to high school.
And like you said, like if you do make that article, it helps that person that may not have had that parental guidance that to where they were tough at home and told them, hey, like it's not going to come to you. You go out and get it. I think you hit the nail on the head for sure, especially from the player's perspective. I'm so happy that you came on to that.
Yes.
Because you give us like not only the player's perspective, but like the female player's perspective, and you've been through these coaches and these D1 programs. And I just want to point out too that in no way do any of us accept any bullying or mental abuse or what it might be. We don't condone that at all. But from the player's perspective and the situations that they're describing, all the evidence that we have so far, because it is an ongoing investigation. A lot of it's just got to come down to what you're willing to do for yourself to better your position in that program. And what you're willing to take and be no nonsense on, right? So if you're not willing to have those conversations with the coach, yes, she may have some power over you, but whatever she's telling you may be for your best interest in the first place. I think it was absolutely a lot of good points. We got anything else we want to talk about on the podcast, or anything else you want to chime in
Yeah,
on?
to me, at the end of the day, the coach can be on your ass about anything on the court, whether it's your personal life, having bad games, et cetera, et cetera. But off the court, I guarantee you can go to that coach for anything. Advice, school, anything. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's our job to be invested in you. You know, not just to maximize your fullest potential. And like you said, the best way they're going to do that is by knowing who you are personally and being invested into your well-being. I think that's what every coach wants, to have a full team of healthy players, not only physically but mentally as well, so they're prepared for those situations. I think it was a great episode.
Yeah, I did
What do you
too.
think?
I loved how she kind of took over. Yeah, might have said like 10 words all episode.
Right.
It was
For
a good
sure.
one,
And
though.
she gave a great perspective.
Yes,
and we've all
yeah.
played sports all
And
through our lives and
that's
stuff
the main
like
reason
that.
we wanted you on, because you could relate to it more than what we could. So
Not only from a basketball player's perspective, but as a female.
Yeah. So
Thank y'all. I
No,
appreciate y'all for having me.
We appreciate you coming on for sure.
Hopefully, we get you on for some more episodes. That if you follow up, on
whenever you
whatnot,
want to come back, for sure. Just
all in all, it's a good episode. I'm for the next upcoming episode. I have no idea. Could be baseball. I mean, I do got my Yankees gear on here.
Yeah, let us know in the comments though, like what you guys want to see. As always, let us know.
College players be paid?
Oh,
But that's a conversation for a different time.
I want to be here for that one.
All right.
I want to be here
for
that
sure, for sure.
That'll be a great one.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks
Fuck
for
you.
having me.
I'm just
Oh,
joking. I'm just joking.
Wait, my heart's over here.
But thank y'all for joining. Great episode. Not sure what the next episode will be about, but be on the lookout. I will be on social media, kind of giving out hints on, what the next upcoming episode will be. So tune in.
Share.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.